chapter 21, we were looking at confidence intervals as a way for us to estimate a population parameter. Now we're going to be looking at a similar and related concept, but it's going to take a different approach to this idea of determining a population parameter. And that's going to be a test of significance. So we're going to return to our normal distribution, and we are, instead of us using the theory where 95% of our observations are going to fall within 2 standard deviations, we're now going to actually look at the probabilities of observing a particular value under a particular sampling distribution. So for example, based on a report in the Inside Higher Ed, the report was that college students today are spending less time socializing face-to-face and more time socializing via social media. So how did they determine that? What was the basis for that finding? Well, every year since 1985, there has been a survey of college freshmen conducted by the Higher Education Research Institute at UCLA. And so in 2014, based on a random sample of 153,015 students out of the 1.6 million first-time full-time freshmen at 227 of the nation's colleges and universities. So based on that survey, the percent of students who reported spending 6 or more hours per week interacting in online social networks was 27.2%. Now, that was a slight increase from 2013, the year before, where it was 26.9. Based on this survey as well, students reported spending less time socializing with friends in person. In 2014, they had 18%, which was the lowest found to date, reported spending at least 16 hours per week socializing with friends. That was down from 20.1 the year before. So, additionally, they found that 38.8% of students, which was an all-time high, reported dedicating 5 hours per week or less to socializing. The year before, that was 36.3%. And so based on those changes from 2013 to 2014, then Inside Higher Ed article was able to determine that students were finding or were spending less time face-to-face socializing and more time online. The current director of the foundation that works to prevent suicide among students noted that the time spent on social media was replacing time spent hanging out in person with friends, but even though the way students are interacting is different, they're still finding ways to connect with each other. And now, right now, we're in this whole other situation where we can't socialize in the same way that we used to be able to. And so this, these results would be even different. And you can see why people who study emotions and study, different kinds of mental health issues would be concerned about the impact of relationships. So the sample size in 2013 was also very large. It was a little bit larger than the one in 2014. And one thing that you probably recognized was that even though there were changes from 2013 to 2014, it didn't seem like they were that big. It seemed like they were kind of small changes. So the question that we're ultimately going to be talking about for every single test of significance is if the difference between what we assume to be true and what our sample showed us, the difference there, which there will always be some difference, but is it due to just the fact that we randomly drew a sample, or was there actually a difference in values? So the methods that we'll do in this chapter, called tests of significance, are going to help us quantitatively find whether an observed difference can plausibly be attributed to chance. Did we just so happen to find a sample that was just a little bit different, but it wasn't a meaningful difference? Or did we find something that was so different statistically that we need to assume that our assumption is probably wrong? So by the end of this chapter, you will be able to interpret these tests, you'll be able to perform them, and then you'll be able to see whether or not you agree that those differences reported in that survey showed a significant change.